How to play Bolt Action 3rd edition. This will be a super fast run through video to give you a brief outline of how the game works. To play the game, you'll need an army aside to a fixed points level. You'll need some d6 dice, some markers that you can use for pins, some other tokens for different things going on the table. You'll need order dice, one set per side, German and British in this case. You'll need a tape measure. You'll need some markers for burning vehicles, the blast marker template. You need a copy of the 3rd edition rules, and then, if available, the army book for each side, German in this case. You'll also need a gaming surface. The standard size is 6 foot by 4 foot, although you can use any size that you want. Try and keep it rectangular in shape if you can. Both players need to pre-agree upon the terrain and what values they have in the game before they start. Armies are organised based on platoons, from the rifle platoon, heavy weapons platoon, engineer platoon, artillery platoon, armoured platoon and recce platoon. In case of this German force, one rifle platoon and one armoured platoon with the tanks. Your scenarios come from the book. You can play a battle scenario, or for more narrative games, you can play story scenarios. You'll also find scenarios in different campaign books as well. For missions in the book, you can randomise the mission. So you roll a d6 and it tells you the mission type. You then randomise your deployment zones. There's 2 of them. This one here, long edges, and table quarters is the other. You then randomise your deployment type, 3 different options here. In this case, with meeting engagement, the first result, armies will be kept off the board and come on from reserve in their first wave, and then regular reserves turn 2 onwards. The different victory conditions for scenarios vary. You can have objective holding missions, kill point based missions, or missions even where you're trying to get units off the end of the table. Games of Bolt Action usually last 6 turns, and then on a 4+ you can get turn 7, although this can vary depending on the mission that you're playing. The aim of the game is for you to complete your mission, and then if you score more points, hold more objectives and so on than the opponent, then you win the battle. In Bolt Action, all units are allocated an order dice, 1 for each unit. In this case, this German force has 7 order dice. During deployment, units can come on their first wave if that's the mission, or they can come on from reserve. Other times they can be deployed on the board. You also declare units that will infiltrate, such as the sniper team. They can be deployed deeper onto the terrain. And then you can have units that go into reserve that can turn up at turn 2 onwards. You can also outflank in Bolt Action as well. Units can come on at a secretly determined table edge later in the battle. Once first wave, if it's in the scenario, reserves are declared and infiltrators are deployed. All the dice are collected and put into a bag or a pot, along with the dice from the opposing side as well. Bolt Action is not consecutive turns where one player does all of their movement, shooting and so on, then the other player. Rather, it's activation based. It's randomized by dice being drawn from the bag or from the pot. So turn 1 begins, for example, hand goes in, you draw out a dice, and then you activate a unit. The dice comes out of the bag for your faction. You then choose which order to give that unit. You pick one of the units on the board, or you can put a dice on a unit that's currently off the table. In Bolt Action, there are 6 orders that can be given, and each one is marked on your order dice. The first one we have here is ambush, where the unit won't move. They'll receive the ambush marker here with the order dice, and they're looking out ready to ambush enemy units as they come into range and line of sight. The second order is a rally. You can use that to try and clear away pins, which will adversely affect your unit. On a successful rally, you will clear all of your pins, and the unit becomes available on a subsequent turn to act more freely. Next order dice is a fire order, which means the unit remains entirely stationary and can fire at a single target at full effect. Next order is a run order, which means the unit will not shoot and will go at double pace, in which case, for infantry, it's a 12-inch move as long as they don't cross rough terrain or try and go through obstacles. And then the 6th order here is an advanced move. That means the unit can move, which will be 6 inches for infantry. They're also able to shoot, but there will be a -1 penalty when they do so. In Bolt Action, there's no guarantee that units will obey orders. Units that are fresh and have taken no casualties will automatically obey orders, and you can allocate order dice to them. Units that have taken pins from firepower and damage need to make an order test in order to obey the order that you want to give them. These German infantry have a troop quality value of 9+, so you'll need 9 or less on 2 dice to pass your order test, so that the order can be given to them. It's -1 for each pin. In this case, 2 pins will take you from a 9+ on 2 dice down to a 7+ required. Officers nearby within range 6 inches can give you a morale bonus. In this case, from platoon commander, it's +2, in which case 9 for your morale -2 for the pins, but then +2 for the commander will take you to a 9+ required. You roll those 2 dice, a 9 has been achieved, in which case the order test just about, in this case, has been passed, and the unit will then execute the order that you've given to it. When an order test is passed, a single pin is removed. If the order is failed, the unit instead takes a down order. That means that they cannot move or shoot or do anything during the turn. They are pinned down and receive the down order. If the unit loses half or more of its models from a single round of shooting, it must take a morale test. Again, it's the same value, 9+ required, with the same modifiers for pins and for officers and so on nearby. If the test is passed, the unit can carry on. If the test is failed, the unit will be forced to panic and retreat. If it touches a table edge, whether that's infantry or vehicles, the unit counts as destroyed. In bolt action, movement rates are standardized. Infantry can go 6 inches and they can run 12. Vehicles, a standard vehicle will move 9, or it can double up and run at 18 inches in total. Wheeled vehicles can advance 12 inches, or they can double to 24. Terrain does have an effect on movement. Open ground will not affect any units, but other types of terrain such as rough ground and obstacles and buildings can slow units down. For example, infantry crossing rough ground cannot make a run move. They can only go through an advance speed of 6 inches. In bolt action, vehicles that advance get 2 free 90-degree pivots that they can execute at the start or the middle or at the end of their move. So a 9-inch advance move for this tank, it could make a pivot. It could go 3 inches, followed by a second pivot, and then 6 to make it 9 inches in total. Vehicles that execute a run move, in this case it would be 18 inches across the board, are allowed to make 1 free 90-degree pivot, again at the beginning, middle, or end of their move. With an advanced move, you can combine your 2 90-degree pivots to do a 180-degree about face with a vehicle. For shooting, you declare your target. The target can react. If they haven't received an order dice yet, they can execute a down order, where they will receive a bonus to their cover save. But if they go down, that is their activation complete. They'll not be able to perform an order for the rest of the turn. There is no pre-measuring allowed in bolt action, so once you've declared your target, you then check for range and open fire. The sequence is then you roll to hit. Any hits you then roll to damage. The target is then permitted to take cover saves if they're available. You then remove casualties, and after casualties are removed, if required, then there is a morale test if 50% or more are removed from a single round of shooting from a single unit. For all regular shooting, apart from indirect fire, the standard to hit roll in bolt action is a 4+, with a few simple modifiers. If a unit is moved, it's -1 to your hit roll. If you have received any number of pin markers on your unit, it's -1 to the hit roll as well. If you're inexperienced troops, it's -1 to the hit roll. If you reach point blank range, which is 6 inches in bolt action, it gives you +2 to the hit roll. In which case, these 8 rifles firing across here will need 4s or more. They've remained stationary, and we have achieved 2 hits. A target unit that is hit usually takes 1 pin marker. It can be more depending on the type of weapon that's been fired. Once you've scored your hit rolls, you then try and roll to damage. You look up the type of unit on the damage value table. Our target is regular infantry or artillery, in which case we need a 4 or more on the dice to achieve damage, in which case we have damaged twice. Once damage has been scored against the unit, you can then make cover saves. In this case, the unit is being granted soft cover. Things like buildings, wrecks, and other types of terrain can offer hard cover, but in this case it's soft, which is a 5+, and both have failed. Casualties are then removed. The opposing player can choose which models to remove from play. 2 casualties caused is not enough for morale test, and then 1 pin marker is received. Firepower from this light machine gun caused a further casualty, but it's still only ever 1 pin caused from firepower from the 1 unit, and the total number of casualties is still not enough to cause a morale test. The result needed to cause damage can be modified. Heavy weapons carry a penetration modifier. Those penetration modifiers will then enable your weapons to cause damage, penetrate, and potentially destroy vehicles, such as a light tank, which will need an 8+ to cause damage. So weapons with a higher penetration value, such as a bazooka, will grant you +5. So D6 +5, you're trying to equal or beat an 8. So higher caliber weapons will enable you to take on armoured fighting vehicles. And you can go all the way up to heavy weapons, such as a super heavy anti-tank gun, +7 to your dice roll to punch through the tougher armour. For shooting at vehicles, there are bonuses. If you're able to strike the top or side armour of a vehicle, it's +1 to your damage roll. Rear armour gives you +2. Long range is -1, which is half the range of the weapon, and then point blank range, which will give you +1 to the penetration roll as well. If your damage roll equals the armor of your target, then they'll suffer superficial damage. You roll on this table here, which will give you the result. If you penetrate the armor, you go above the armor value. So an armor value of 8 on this Panzer II. If you roll a 9 or more, then you roll on the full damage table with a chance to knock the vehicle out. In bolt action, if your damage roll is exceptionally high and it goes way above the damage value of your target, you can cause massive damage and give you 2 dice to roll on this chart, making it much more likely to knock out the target. In bolt action, you can make use of artillery. These can fire directly or indirectly, and to help guide in their firepower, you can employ spotters to spot targets that you can't see, and then use indirect fire to hit targets. HE fired from artillery has different diameters for blast markers, different penetration values and number of pins. Use this marker here. A 1-inch blast is that central hole, the outside is a 2-inch, the inside here is a 3-inch, and the outside of the larger marker is a 4-inch. To hit the target is similar to shooting, but your starting factor is always a 6+. So a 6+ to hit the target, roll of 5, so we've missed. On subsequent turns, it'll be at 1 point higher or easier to hit the target, so it'll be a 5+ on the next turn. And you just use dice here to remind you. So 5+ here on the Mortar and 5+ here on the Panzer. If it moves more than 2 inches, then that ranging in is lost, and you'll have to start again or pick another target. Once a hit is scored, it's then you have ranged in, it's then a 2+ to hit the target thereafter, again, unless it moves away, in which case you have to start the whole process. So artillery is particularly useful for targets that are more likely to try and remain where they are, such as infantry in buildings. It's good for flushing them out. Close quarters or close combat is possible in bolt action. To do that, you need to pick a target, pass an order test if required, and then execute a run move. Terrain can slow you down, so it's best to go around terrain to get the full 12 inches for your charge. Units that are charged, if they haven't been activated yet, can do reactive fire. So as long as you're over 6 inches away, they can fire at full effect before you charge in. If you need to do a morale test, that needs to be passed. If it's passed, the charge can still go ahead. And then assaulting models are pushed into close combat, where everybody will fight in a close combat. So the idea is you push models in to get them as close together as possible. The opponent reacts and pushes their models in, but everyone gets to fight in the combat. So you don't roll to hit, you just get 1 dice per model fighting, and you just go straight onto damage. In this case, it would be a 4+ for these German infantry to cause damage against these regular British infantry, so 4+ to cause casualties. Fighting is simultaneous, unless you're going for an obstacle. If you charge through cover or through an obstacle, or a defender is behind an obstacle defending it, the defender will get to fight first, roll their dice to damage, and then the attacker will get to roll their dice. If that's not the case, then it's simultaneously resolved. The winner will wipe out the loser. If it's a draw, you fight again, and you keep fighting until a winner is established and the loser is wiped out. Let's say, for example, the Germans have won this close combat. Once the combat has been resolved, the winner will make a D6 regroup move. So that's pretty much how bolt action works. You pick a dice out of the pot randomly, all of the units on the board, or allocating dice to units off board. You cycle through all of the dice and all of the units. Once that is complete, a turn is finished, the dice are all gathered back up and then put back into the pot, ready to start at the next turn. The standard time is usually 6 turns. Sometimes there is a 7th turn. And then once the game comes to an end, you then resolve and find out who has achieved victory. So I hope this video has given you a flavour of what bolt action is like and a brief summary of the rules. And this allows you to recreate the most famous engagements of the Second World War of intense, fast-paced, tactically rewarding gameplay. For further rules explanation, we have a complete series on how to play bolt action. That series is now live on membership on Heated Battle TV, so you can join the channel and unlock all of that bonus content to give you a full lowdown on how to play bolt action 3rd edition. So that's the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on the channel. Drop us a comment in the comment section below, and keep a lookout for more bolt action content on the channel. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.